really look forward to doing these Facebook Lives because I get really excited about it. It gives me this excuse. I'm gonna put eyeliner on and lip gloss, which I don't usually do every day. So it's kind of a little treat. I should probably do it every day, but you know, I can't. I'm doing great, Linda, thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll be saving this to the group in case anyone comes on late. I say this about every class, and so you're probably thinking, oh sure, Renee, you're real excited. But I am. I'm very excited about this class because it's all based on this road trip that I took this past summer. So I want to kind of share with you the inspiration and my process, and I really feel like the creative process is always evolving and changing with you as a person and how you're creating, and I'm hoping that what I do kind of resonates with people who take my classes, who look at my art, and that it brings something to them, because first and foremost, I love to teach, and you know, I taught dance for like over 35 years, and I feel like I have all these things inside of me, and I like to, you know, inspire other people to believe in themselves as artists. So at the beginning, I haven't revealed this little part yet, but I decided to do it tonight. At the beginning of the quarantine here in Michigan, the week before, when I think everyone went into quarantine in March, my stepfather passed away, and so my mom was alone in quarantine for the whole time. We couldn't leave, we couldn't get there. It was really, really terrible for her. And I talked to her every day. We would FaceTime, and she was doing great. She's 85. So once it was over, I flew to Texas, and Olivia and I went. My box of Clorox wipes to wipe down the entire plane, but it was all very clean. And so then we decided that we wanted to go to New Orleans, where she was born and raised, my mom's entire side of the family. There were 7 brothers and sisters in my grandmother's family. And so there were all these cousins, and they just had this very joyful family. And I remember all these times growing up, and there's a party every Saturday night, and it was kind of like being in a movie. And so my mom wanted to see everything, and so I drove her. We picked up her cousin, and we drove, and it was, you know, a long drive. She kept telling me I was going the wrong way, but Mom, there's only one way. And so we went down the streets where my grandparents' houses were, her cousin's house. She was telling us all these great stories, like stories I had never heard before, of like her and her cousin Joy climbing a crepe myrtle tree and playing these games, and all night. I mean, just really great things. And so this, in all that time of being in the car and listening to both of them tell stories and all the talking, and it started giving me this idea of, you know, honoring the storytellers in our lives. And, you know, I have my stories, my friends have their stories, we all have a story, but also, can we take those stories and abstract them, and can we bring them to our artwork in many different ways? And that's what this class is about. So I feel like the evolution of my art and my classes has all been kind of leading to this, to where it is now. And I know it'll go off in different ways as I get different ideas, but it came to me and I really wanted to explore the idea. So what we start out with in the class is we create, and what I'm calling is a collection of ideas. So when you have an idea, you know, you grab it, you get inspired, and you take that idea and you hold on to it. But then you get other ideas and things that are random thoughts, and they all come to you. And I really believe that you have to capture all of them, because it's really cool when you put them together in different ways. And it doesn't have to mean something to anyone else, because it's coming from your heart as the creative person. And I think we have to honor the ideas. It's hard to capture all of them, but I think when the ones that you feel something about, then you have to think about that. So the first thing we're going to create in the class is this collection of ideas. And I didn't do a journal, and quite often I will do a little journal or something to capture all the inspiration. So what I did is I took random things from, hi Jen, from my studio, and just, I have a drawer and a box filled with all kinds of paper and pieces of discarded artwork. And so what I did was they're messy, they're random, and I just started making these very intuitive, fast collages. And, bringing in elements, everything I was thinking about. I had very limited supplies. I have like a stapler, I have a little gesso, and a glue stick. It's just very simple, and putting these all together. And then on the back, I would, if I got an idea, I'd write it down, like, oh, I need to make sure I kind of look at that. And just bringing in very simple materials, photographs of people who are in my family. I did some stitching on the end of the card. There's a picture of the magnolia tree in front of my grandmother's house. And, color palettes. So we're going to do this, and when you lay them all out, and you'll see that in the class, I lay them all out and kind of put them together. It's really very interesting to see your work, to see your stories, to see your ideas all come together. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. It's just, and they're not perfect because we're not perfect, and the art we make is not perfect. And I think when you dig really deep and get rid of that idea that I have to show this to someone, that this is deeply personal, and you keep this for yourself, and you can keep adding to these. You can put more layers on top. You can clean your brush. You can really explore your experiences, no matter how small or how large. They're all important. Every experience you have is important. And so capturing them this way, you can even take them, put them up on your pin board, whatever you want to do. I like taking them and laying them all out and just looking at them, thinking about them, moving them around, making notes, adding, if I have leftover little containers, in my studio, I have little containers of pieces of paper leftover from collage, and just sticking it on there and making, not agonizing over it. So you could put this in like a junk journal. You could take that and put it, but I really like this idea of having it grow and making, really having this big stack on your workbench in your studio. Take it wherever you take it, to the couch. You just wrap it up with a piece of twine. And I think there's a lot of power in here for your artwork. So that's the first thing we're going to do, and I think it's a good warm-up to get you thinking. And I love pulling things together. I love playing with the color palettes, and I do that in every class. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an abstract, and I have it hanging on my wall, and I forgot to take it down. Okay, so this abstract, where we make some collage paper, and I'm calling it The Window. And the idea is, and I explain it more in the class, is while we were driving, my mom was always looking out the window and talking, and sometimes her memories would get kind of tangled up. And so that's kind of where I was, I was kind of trying to unravel these timelines and trying to help her remember, the different events. And then our own, like sometimes I can't remember, and my daughter can't remember what happens when, and you try to, kind of reverse the memory and try to remember what it is you're thinking about. So it started out with, I always have my little sketchbook. I created a little mini one, and this is not one we do in class. I'm just sharing. This is the first one I did. And it just came to me, The Window, and I can see my mom looking out the window at my grandparents' old house. That was pink, and it had black shutters. And so that's kind of where I got that. And hi, Kara. And so then I made another one here, the same thing. So these all led to this one. And so one of the things that I find that's really important to our artwork is kind of working in maybe a series to explore all of your ideas. The ideas that you're capturing in this little collection of ideas. So I I want to explore this. I want to see, maybe do 6 of these, 10 of these, 12 of these on different sizes. So you're not just limited to doing the one and then moving on. So anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Like, oh, the people coming on, hi. I think that you can, when you watch the lesson and you'll see kind of how I do it, then I want you to do it in your way. But maybe entertain the idea of taking 6 8x10 pieces, taping them all down, and taking your ideas and going through each one and doing. It's a very satisfying way of creating art instead of just putting all your focus on one. And then you can explore all the ideas that you have that you're capturing. Okay, so then the next thing that we do is this assemblage piece. And this one is called the 3 Flowers, and it has some little branches in from some of my walks. I have this embroidery thread that is representing my grandmother and all this handwork she did and the stitching. And there's 3 flowers, and my mother had 3 children, and I look at my family of 3, so that's kind of how this came. And once again, I think that when we are creating art, one thing that we create is the stepping stone to the next thing. So you want to explore your ideas. You don't want to wait for something else. Just do it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to explain this technique with the charcoal. There's a little bit of powdered charcoal, there's ink, and then we're using old paper and new paper. So there's a lot of symbolism in that, and stitching it together. So if you remember, if some of you took my class, The Graceful Muse, and I did another assemblage, and so I think you can see that there's a little series starting to happen here. And I want to explore that more. I think there's more to do here, more to explore, more stories to tell. And so it's just a jumping off point for us as artists to do this, and whatever you like, whichever, one of these lessons will resonate with you, and I encourage you to explore that. Then we do, because I love flowers, we do this magnolia, and I did it on this beautiful Arches drawing paper, and it's a cream, and it's not a paper that you use water on, but I put gesso on it, and I just love the color of it, because every home that my grandparents lived in and my mom lived in had these enormous magnolia trees, and it's like they're standing guard over the house. So I wanted to work on that and kind of have an expressive piece with layers of pastel and acrylics and kind of a watery background. So I have this piece, which I really enjoy doing, and we kind of water down acrylics, we build up layers in the flower, and just kind of work in this limited color palette for the leaves. And I have a photo reference for you of a magnolia tree, and really zooming in and looking at the leaves and kind of pulling the all the different markings on the leaves into your artwork. And then the final thing we have is we're going to do a portrait. This is my storyteller, and she's looking out the window. So it's all kind of working together. But this is a portrait in oil, and I have it on a cradle board. I still need to put a varnish on it. I may do a few more touches on it. I like to let it sit for a while just to think about it. And if you are unsure about using oils, you can most definitely do this lesson in acrylics or watercolors. You don't have to do oils, but I don't like to have a ton of materials when I'm working. I like to just pull it all together and just have limited things. And I feel like oils can sometimes get overwhelming, and they really aren't. They're really gorgeous, and you only need 2 things. You need your Gamsol or your mineral spirits. It's the same thing. I like to use Gamsol, it's a higher quality. And maybe an oil medium like a Gaukai. Only 2 things, and something to rinse your brush in. And someone messaged me like, how do I rinse in water. No, you just rinse in, here, let me grab it. I have one of these little containers, and on my YouTube channel there is a basics watercolor oils, and I go through all the things that I have, so you can take a look at that and see if it's something you want to do, and I will be here to help you every step of the way. And I think, oh, I know what I want to show you. So I'm going to turn the camera a little bit so that you can look. When I was putting this class together, for every class I make, I got to hang this up. I put together a little inspiration wall so that I can think about like the textures, the colors, the things that inspire me. So I'm gonna just turn my camera for a minute and just show you the overview of this over my messy workbench. Let's just turn it around. So this is what I made for the class, and now this is the piece that we're doing, but I worked on my colors and I did some little quick sketches and just put things up and pictures, and it's an evolving piece that I do on my wall. And this wall I don't care about. I have like little holes in it and it's fine with me. I have artist tape holding things up and little push pins and tiny nails, and this thing is always changing, and I find that it really helps me think to start putting it up there so I'm not just focused on one thing, that I want to remember all of these elements, you know, the color, the texture, the line, and how I'm going to bring those in, and nature and words and everything that I can think of to bring in. So I keep working on this, and it changes. I'll change back. Bye. It changes with every lesson I create and every piece that I do. I want to see how far I can dive into it. I want to feel inspired. I want that feeling, and I know you do too. I want to feel it. I want to come to work in my studio and start working on something and get consumed by it. I think that is the best feeling because it's something bigger than we are. And you know, when you have those days that you feel like I have no talent, I can't draw, I can't paint, I have no ideas, all you have to do is go into your studio on that day, because it's not true, it's all fake. It's just resistance. We hate resistance, but it's there. And pull out your little deck of your collection of ideas and just start looking at it. And you know, it's like working in your art journal, and you can do that, but it's just, if you can push past that resistance, then you're going to cross over to the other side. It's like the space in between the resistance and what you need to create. And you will be able to dive deeper into your work. And when we take classes from people, it's so great. I always encourage people to watch the lesson, see what you like, and then bring it to your artwork. You don't have to do exactly what I do. You don't have to. You can, if you are connected to a peony or a rose or whatever it may, take the technique that I'm introducing in this class and put it into your style and what resonates, because then you're going to feel it, and I know that's what we all want. So I think that is it. I think I showed you everything, and the early registration is now open, and Kara and I have been talking about me doing a Facebook Live within the group, so she may be doing some shifting with groups, so I'm hoping that we can do that. I did it in the Graceful Muse. I did 4 Facebook Lives, one each week, to answer questions and demonstrate further. And it was great, and I really would love to do that again, because I think it just helps us connect more, and we can ask questions and we can explore more, and having that time to maybe take the lesson a little deeper. So I'm open to that. I would love to do that. So if you have any questions about the class, you can ask me now, or you can message me, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's just a really beautiful way of Oh, thanks, Melanie. She's all signed up. So happy you're going to be there. It's just a beautiful way to honor your own stories, the stories of people who mean something to you, and completely you can weave in the non-related ideas that you get, something that's totally random, and that's when it's super cool, when you bring in something and you've created something so unique to you. And then your artistic style and your voice as an artist is heard. And tell us about Kara's network, new to me. Okay, so Lisa, every teacher has their own like creative network, their website and where they host their classes and guest teachers who come in and teach classes for them. So Kara Bullock Art, and the link is in my creative community, and I will have everything. If you go to my Instagram at Renee Designs, if you follow the link, it goes right to the class where you can sign up on Kara's network. She has amazing classes, amazing special guest teachers. She offers this Let's Face It, which is a year-long portrait course with so many teachers. I'm doing 2 lessons for Let's Face It. She has teachers like Robert Kelly, Michael Carson. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful artist, and it is so worth going over there and checking out what she has. And so this class is early registration now. And one thing that I know gets a little bit confusing for people is where all the classes are. And when you're on a website, and let's say you go through my website and you sign up for a class, and you sign up for a class where I'm guest teaching, that's where you go to log in all the time. So if you're going to sign up for Storytellers, then you always go to Kara's site and sign up for it. If you sign up for a class that's hosted on my site, like my Petals and Portraits or Full Bloom or Swan Lake, then you sign up on mine. So if you have any questions, because I know it gets to be overwhelming with so many places out there, but just, always ask and we can help you find where you need to go. And me too, Heidi, I can't wait. I'm packaging everything up right now. So I think that's it. Any other questions about this? I want to make sure that everybody understands that the whole guest teaching and where you can find it. And this, I'm building that web page right now on my website, putting it on there so that it'll link directly to Kara's, but it is in my Instagram and it's on my Facebook, both the links. And it's karabullockart.com. And Kara is such an amazing artist. You have to look at her work. It's just gorgeous. She does all these amazing portraits of her daughter, and she just did one of her dog, which is so great. I love that one. She's really, really great. Anyway, okay, so you got it, Lisa. Great. Anyone else? So was this helpful? Yes, maybe. And so if there's anything else that you want to talk about, I'm trying to do a Facebook Live like every other week, and when I have things to talk about. So we'll do things with this class, and we'll talk about art supplies, whatever you want to talk about. You just let me know, because I will talk about it. I love talking about it. It gives me something to do during the week. It gives me a reason to put my eyeliner on. I gotta have that, my eyeliner and lip gloss. Okay, so I'm gonna save this video, so if anyone wants to go back over it, and please, let me know if you have any questions about the class. I'm excited about it. I'm like super excited about this. How can this one thing make me so happy? It just, I keep looking at it, I keep laying it out. I can't wait for you to do it, because everyone will do something different. And it's a great way, like, just to go through your studio and get all this big pile of paper, and then I just cut it into like 4 by 6 or something like that. So anyway, that's that. I think that's it. All right. Oh, magazine pitch. All right. So Lisa wants to know. So the magazine. I want to tell you how I got in and what happened and the actions that I took in order to get into the magazine. So long story short, I'll try to make it short. I had this room that we're in right now, it's in the back of our house. We have a very small house. It's like 1,500 square feet. It was built in 1929. And it was like our study, and it was a little depressing in here. With lots of stuff, and it just was that last room that nothing ever happened to. So I was making art at our dining room table, and then I went in the basement. And if anyone knows about a Michigan basement, it is the most uninspiring place. There's no light, they're damp, it's not good. So I said, I cannot work down there. So I just kind of moved into the study slowly, and my husband's like, fine, he didn't care at all. So I then started filming my classes in here with all these big lighting equipment, and there was no room to make art because it was just really cluttered in here and also uninspiring. And I can hear so much traffic and people, and because I'm kind of in the city of Ann Arbor, I'm very close to downtown. And so then I was in Barnes & Noble, and I found that magazine in her studio, and I thought, oh my God, this is a gorgeous magazine. And I think I can't remember who was on the cover of that first one. I can't remember who the artist was, but anyway, I looked through it like 12 times. It was so beautiful. I go, I want to get in this magazine. And so over last Christmas, I painted this whole place white. And then I sat in here for a while and decided that I would paint the floors white. And then it was like crazy town in here because it was very echoey and it didn't feel, because everything was out. So the painting on the floor took me about like 5 coats. It took a long time. So then I was going to just take pictures with my iPhone. But I came across this woman, Melanie Reyes, of at Love Lundy. She's on Instagram, and she lives in a town that's 15 minutes away from me. And I started looking on her Instagram that she did branding photography. So she did a lot of those close-up detail shots. And so I called her and said, I'm really interested in having you take pictures of my studio. And I never get my picture taken. I always take pictures of my family, my friends, like, no, I don't want to get pictures taken. So she took pictures. She forced me to take some pictures of myself. And so they actually came out pretty good. So that was that. So I had some pictures of my studio because I wanted to use them for Instagram and, my newsletter and just different things so that I could, give you something different to look at. So then I decided to submit in her studio. I went onto their website, I read the details, and it said you had to submit the pictures 300 DPI 8x10. So I picked out 4 or 5 photographs of my studio, and some of them had my artwork in it. They wanted to see that. And I sent the editor, there's an email there for the editor, and I wrote to her and I said, I love your magazine. I would love to be considered for one of your issues. I live in a house that was built in 1920. I had painted my floors and ceiling white, etc. And then here are some photographs. And it was a very short email. And I think there was, a short paragraph. It was like 4 sentences. And I sent that back in February. I heard nothing. And then all of a sudden, I guess in March, I noticed Stampington Company following me on Instagram. And in her studio is part of the big umbrella of Stampington. And so then in May, I got an email from the editor, the editor, and she wanted to put my photographs and wanted to have me write an article about me, about my story, about my studio. And so there was kind of a list of questions. So I agonized over that article for about a month and then sent her, they wanted more photographs. So I sent her about 30 more photographs. And then while I was doing that, I got another email from Somerset, and they wanted to feature my artwork. And so I was just, my head was spinning. I go, this can't be true. I got to pinch myself. It was like a dream come true. So I felt very overwhelmed by it because, you plug along in your studio and you hope people like your work. You hope people like your classes. You hope people like you. You're not, So I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So I feel very grateful and honored to be a part of that. And when I saw they put my artwork on the cover, I just almost fell over. So it was all very exciting, and I think my suggestion is if you want to do it, I don't know if I did it all the right way, but it seems like I did, and I just sent it. So I think as long as you send them like the right file for your photographs, that they're beautiful photographs, 300 DPI, just put them in Photoshop, but you can probably edit them in your phone now if you have an iPhone 11, and then send them off with a nice note. And if you don't hear anything back from them, then I would just resubmit. So like I really love that, the art journaling one, and I was thinking about submitting something to that later this year. So I think it's just coming down with some really good photographs and just be yourself and just kind of follow their guidelines. And they're in the back of every magazine, and there's just so many great artists that are doing it. So I think if it's something you want to do, then I would put it together and just do it. Don't think about it, just do it. So, oh, thanks, Heidi. Thank you. And you're so amazing. I love your new piece with the pink. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you for being here today. I really am happy that you're here and that you're taking the time to hang out with me in my studio. And I appreciate it a lot because I know that there's a lot of things for you to do. And I appreciate you being here with me, so because I get lonely in here sometimes. So anyway, one thing I was thinking about, and let me ask you this. What about doing a Zoom live? Would anybody be interested in that? I'll put it in the I'm so sick of Zoom right now, so I don't know if anybody really wants to do that, but that way we could see each other. I could maybe do a demo. I don't know. It's something that I'm pondering. A friend of mine's doing it, but we can talk about it and you can tell me your thoughts. So I really want to keep our conversations going so that I can give you what you are looking for and walk alongside you as you create. We can walk together. So thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.